Today is Sunday, September the 29th. I wanted to share with everyone what we've been learning about in Sunday school. This is for the preschool through grade 2 group. We've been learning about the Garden of Eden, and God put a tree in the middle of the Garden of Eden and said, "Do not eat from that tree." And it had apples or whatever fruit it really was. And if you ate of the apple, you would know the difference between right and wrong. And some of the apples that we've created have representatives of those things, like being kind or being mean. And eventually Adam and Eve had to leave the garden. And we talked about Noah filling up his ark with animals and the world being covered with water. And then the animals and Noah landed and were able to get out of the ark and live on the earth again with their family. We also have talked about Abraham and Sarah, and they didn't have children for a long time. They moved over to Canaan and they built an altar, and they were anxious to have a child. And in Genesis 15:5, God said, "Look at the sky and see if you can count the stars. That's how many descendants you will have." So Abraham and Sarah were looking forward to having a child. And eventually they did have a child named Isaac. And Abraham was an important part of the Bible. And one week one of the kids asked if it was Abraham Lincoln, but it's not. It's a different Abraham. Abraham and Sarah had a child named Isaac, and Isaac had 2 children named Esau and Jacob. And Jacob had many children. One of his favorite children was Joseph. He gave Joseph a fancy coat of colors because Joseph was the favorite child of Jacob. And that made the other brothers jealous. And they didn't really want Joseph around. And eventually, Joseph ended up in the country of Egypt. And he became the governor of Egypt, and he was in charge of handing out food. Because after 7 years of lots of food, there wasn't very much food at all. There was a famine. Joseph was handing out food to everyone to help them have enough to eat. And there was also a time that he was helping the Pharaoh know what his dreams meant. And after Joseph handed out enough food, his own family came to visit to get more food. And they were recognized by Joseph, and Joseph was so happy to see them. And we have a little family tree of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph with blocks. And sometimes we go into room 107. And in room 107, we have a craft. And we might make a family tree, and the kids could make it with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, or they can make a family tree of their own family. And we were so glad that Joseph was able to help take care of his family and many, many others. It's good to learn about the characters of the Bible and see if we can apply them to our own life. Thank you.